Hi guys, just a quick video relating to a number of things that have arisen, shall we say, online in various forums, Twitter, Facebook, etc. over the past few weeks that have sort of either haven't sat well with me or required me to give an explanation or a justification of the moves that we make within our chosen pattern. So I thought this month's blog, it would be nice to just have a little look at two players, both using the same system at the time. Charlie on the left, Troy on the right, demonstrating some key principles, but looking quite different. So both players demonstrating the same sort of moves, trying to satisfy the same criteria within the swing, but having a different look. I think one of the things that I've certainly come across on YouTube of late is that, people give feedback on certain things relating to stack and tilt and try and make out that we get everybody to swing as per the model. That couldn't be further from the truth. I think any instructor worth his salt within our network appreciates that the model's there to be drawn from. The model is an organisation of all the key components of the golf swing, and we can draw out any part or any piece of that and apply it to the student as and when needed and in the appropriate level needed. Some players need more of certain things than others. So I think Charlie and Troy, this is one of my favourite comparisons that I use for a student initially to explain why we aren't a method, why we're more of a system. Both players have the weight forward. You can see that the lower centre is pushed forward on each player. It's not over the top, over the centre of the stance. It's pushed forward. Troy's is pushed forward slightly more than Charlie's. Something that I think we're all pretty much aware of. So I can appreciate that, for the certainly for the people on my mailing list, I'm preaching to the converted here. But again, it's nice to just look at something sometimes and go over it again and maybe pick up a different way of communicating this point to someone. So both players have got the lower centre pushed forward. Both players' goal is to swing around a fixed point or a stable axis. Just make that dot a little bit bigger. And it's fair to say that both players do a very good job of doing this. Both players have varying levels, as with any two players, varying levels of flexibility, range of motion, etc. Call it what you will. Therefore, both players require certain movements to be carried out at a different rate or to a different degree to achieve the same result. So both players' pelvis has stayed stable. Both players' weight has stayed forward. Both players have turned their shoulders beyond 90 degrees. Or their shoulders have travelled beyond 90 degrees. I don't want to get told off for talking about shoulder turn. So both players' shoulders have travelled more than the 90 degrees. Try that line again. Both players have propelled the butt of the club far enough to create the power that they need to play the course that they play week in, week out. Both players' lower centres remain stable, as discussed before. So in order to do that, we know that we've got to turn, extend and left tilt. And if we look at Charlie, there's a differential between the right knee and the left knee, which is illustrating that the right leg is straightened, the left knee is flexed forward, and the hips have turned on a tilted angle. When we look at Troy, there's a greater differential between the trail leg and the lead leg. So Troy's carried out the same piece as Charlie. He's straightened the right leg, he's flexed the left leg, he's just done it for longer. It's the same basic moves to achieve the same goal, but both players look different at the top. If Troy tried to make a swing with Charlie's leg action, I very much doubt the left arm would get much past P3, which would then mean that in order to generate any sort of length on the arc, he'd have to lift the arms. That would compromise the direction of the swing, the path, etc. We all know how sort of messy that can get. So 2 players working on the same pattern, same system, looking quite different at the top, overall impression that you get, 2 very different swings. But really they're working on very similar moves. There'll be other little moves that they're working on that are different. Obviously that's what golf's all about, but they both straighten the trail leg, flex the lead leg, turn the hips on a tilted angle. Troy's just had to do it more and for longer to achieve the same result. And I think that's very important. Anybody who criticises the system or doesn't really understand the system, we're not trying to get everybody to swing it like Charlie. I had a interesting, shall we say, conversation with one guy online this week who insisted that trying to get everybody to swing like Charlie Wee was counterproductive, and that you have to deal with each individual as you find them. Well, I couldn't agree more. But the guys insisted on arguing with me. I don't disagree with him. I think the issue I have, and the issue that you fellow instructors will have, is that people don't get where we're actually coming from with the system. We're going to use the system, pick out what we need, apply it to the individual in varying degrees to get the desired results. So again, we've got 2 players straightening the trail leg, flexing the lead leg to allow the hips to turn, to allow the shoulders to travel, to propel the butt of the club far enough to create the power that they need while swinging around a stable axis. Now, where else would this work? Each player would find this useful in regards to longer clubs. I had an email off one of my students asking me, to what degree should the trail leg straighten? Well, the answer to that really is that it will change from club to club. With a pitching wedge, we're not trying to create as much power, so we don't need to get the shoulders to travel as far, and we don't need to propel the butt of the club as far. So consequently, we don't need to straighten or extend the right leg quite as much. When we get driver, we want to get maximum distance with obviously a degree of control. Therefore, we need the shoulders, or we want the shoulders to travel further, the butt of the club to travel further to give us that arc. And as a result, we want the hips to turn more, so therefore we would have to straighten the trail leg more. That in turn is contradictory to what a lot of people are advising golfers to do, which is actually to gain power, keep the trail leg flexed. Well, some players, Charlie may give the impression that he has more flex in the trail leg than Troy, but both players are extending the trail leg. My point is that it's not a definite. You don't have to straighten it X amount. You need to straighten it enough to facilitate what you're trying to do with the golf swing. Varies from shot to shot and player to player, but the key principle remains the same. So I just thought it was, one area that we can look at. You could pick out any number of areas within the golf swing, but I just think the way the legs work, particularly from P1 to P4, the straightening and the flexing of the trail and lead leg, and the effect that that's on the hips and the shoulders, etc., is quite a nice starting point to demonstrate to people that it's not a method. It's not about Troy swinging it like Charlie or Charlie swinging it like Grant. It's not that every student we want to look the same. What we're trying to achieve is get our students to understand that if you do, A, B, and C, you will get a certain result. And if you do it more, that will have an effect on the golf swing, and it would be appropriate at certain times, but maybe not appropriate at other times. So if we're trying to hit a wedge and we're getting this right leg's hyperextending, that would be a little bit too much. So remember, apply the pieces as and when needed, as and when appropriate. Keep working in a systematic manner. Keep building your understanding of how, each move affects another move, So you just build up the bigger picture of cause and effect within the golf swing. So that's my little rant, if you will, over for the month. I hope you had a great season. I look forward to much more work in the winter months. Really get stuck in. There'll be more videos like this hopefully following soon. between now and then, good luck with it. Keep practicing hard, and if you've got any questions, feel free to contact me.